Hi, and welcome to Black Spaces, the Black Spaces show. We give you sci-fi and fantasy from Black SGL perspectives. Many other shows will critique blockbuster and indie sci-fi film and fantasy film or TV series, but we give you the unique critique. Okay, unique critique about these sci-fi shows. This is Todd, and joining me are three holographic hunks. I don't know if that works. Ulysses, Milton, and Vince. We are the brothers of the planet. How y'all doing?
Did you say holographic or holographic?
Oh, holographic hunks.
He said, "Oh."
Y'all gonna have me that work on it. I'm trying to work on it. You were galactically gorgeous last time. Okay.
He said, "Oh." That's a hell of a way to introduce somebody.
All right. For each show, you can join us either on the Black Spaces show on our Facebook group page, YouTube channel, or Spotify podcast. You can get complete information on where to find our shows or how to reach us on our Black Spaces website, www.blackspacesshow.com. That's www.blackspacesshow.com. Please hit and like us or share and like us because we love you. Now, with every show, we ask three questions. What is the source? So we might make some reference to the original source materials. Is it a good film or good sci-fi film? And how well or badly are we, people of color, Black people, queer people who are queer, how are we represented? Please feel free to post comments or questions in the chat if you can, or send your comments to us at our email, blackspaces2001@gmail.com. Let's get into the source. So let me start off with spoiler alerts, because sometimes I forget to say that. Spoiler alerts, but feel free to post your comments, whatever venue you're listening to us on. We're not going to give a whole recap of the show, so let me just give a very short recap of the premise. You can go back and listen to various other commentaries. I'll give a shout out to Pete Peppers, who does some excellent commentaries. But there are many of them out there. So this is, as you know, the Apple TV Plus show is based on Isaac Asimov's classic Foundation novel series. The most basic premise is that the mathematician Harry Seldon, who lives on the capital world Trantor of a human galactic empire, thousands upon thousands of years in the future, has formulated a new branch of math called psychohistory that can predict human futures based upon the trillions of persons who live in the galactic empire. And Seldon predicts the downfall of the empire, where humanity will go through a dark age of 30,000 years unless he can establish a foundation or ensure others establish a foundation, which is a great repository of human knowledge that will shorten the darkness to 1,000 years. That's all all I'm going to do in terms of recap, because I'm not going to try to recap an entire season. Okay, but what we will do is go into our discussion, the fun part, about good sci-fi. So my brothers, whether it be sci-fi credibility, believability, story, plot, pacing, acting, dialogue, characters, special effects, cinematography, soundtrack, music. Vince, what do you think? Good sci-fi or not?
Believability is an issue.
Okay.
But it still is good sci-fi. It's just, it seems like that the more the episodes, the more it got towards the end of the season, the believability seemed to questionable. You know what I mean? And
It was-
I won't go into. We'll talk about the reasons why later. And as I've said before, the music sucks. I mean, the music is not that inspiring.
sucks.
Pardon my language.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
And the pacing, the love scenes, ugh,
I know we're gonna get in there.
very it just slowed everything down.
All right,
And the
let's stay on men on
believability-
love scenes. Okay.
Right. Okay. So, but still overall, yeah, okay.
Don't get overly enthused, Miss Thing. Okay. Ulysses. Believability, credibility, da 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 da. Good sci-fi. What's your view?
Just giving the critique of whether or not it was good sci-fi, I think it was good sci-fi. I think, you know, the displays of technology and the lengths that they were willing to go to try to, you know, implant a copy of Cleon, the emperor,
Mm-hmm.
in the mix, and you know, it had to be got probably generations of planning.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the plot had to be, you know, over generations, clearly, because you're countering, you know, an empire that plans over generations.
So you're talking about
You know.
the corruption of the Cleonic dynasty, the corruption
Yeah, of the clone.
Okay.
Yeah, the corruption of the clone.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Right.
Clone War.
I'm still not sold on Demerzel and where she stands, and you know, just kind of who she is in all of this. But plot wise, I you know, in that regard, I thought it was good sci-fi. I thought it was well written. In that aspect, but there were some storylines that I felt just kind of wrapped up in a way that wasn't, you know, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Later,
Okay. All right. But overall, good sci-fi. Okay.
Overall, good sci-fi.
Okay. All right, Milton. Overall, good sci-fi. What you know, across those things we mentioned.
Yeah, Todd. Absolutely. I mean, I loved it. You know, if I focus on episodes 1 through 9. They were absolutely fabulous. But then episode 10 kind of left me a little disappointed in the season finale. I think 9 would have been a better finale. They could have just kind of moved them around a bit. You know, the whole thing, you know, with Brother Don and the whole, you know, infiltrating, you know, the dynasty there and corrupting, you know, the clones. So I would have liked that as an ending better.
Okay.
But overall, it was very good. You know, I kind of compare it to other sci-fi TV out there. I mean, the quality of the production, good writing, and coming from a background of never having read, you know, any of the books, I was able to be reeled in episode 1.
Okay.
Now, it does take a lot, you know, to learn these different worlds and characters and the whole idea of trillions and trillions of individuals that are now part of this, you know, empire. But, you know, after like maybe the 3rd episode, you know, you really can settle in. And so I loved it. Again, first 9 episodes, absolutely fabulous. Episode 10. Yeah.
It's interesting because I rewatched episode 10 again, and I liked it better the second time. Okay, so Vince, you said this in our pre-show discussion about that was it you or you said a lot, but you maybe it was Ulysses that said that were they trying to wrap it all up because they didn't know if there'd be a second season, right? And we'll get into that. We'll get into some of the things left hanging and some of the questions, because there are several questions still left unanswered, right? That you could say if you had to wrap it up, you could. But but anyway, Milton, I got your point. I think it is excellent sci-fi. I think it's excellent sci-fi. It's quite intriguing. It's extremely well acted. You get into, I can't think of an actor who's just like blah. I can think of roles and lines that aren't very compelling. And I think what they were given, they did well. And generally speaking, I think that Goyer and the production team took great pains to provide, earth-shattering visuals. Earth-shattering is not quite the word, but galactic visuals to give, just sort of these landscapes, these ships, the technology, the architecture, even the colors to the film are very vibrant. Literally like that painting on the Imperial Wall. So I think all those things make for a very compelling season, and that many have commented that they like the feature they like the best is sort of the Cleonic dynasty, the three emperors, right? That wasn't in Asimov's original book, so it is an innovation that many fans seem to like. Folks seem to like less the story on Terminus, not as compelling, but we can get into that a bit more. But okay, anyway, that's at least some things. So what do y'all think, based on what we just said, are some things that are left open? We still need questions to, and when you're going into season 2, what's still left out there to be discussed?
I say for me, this relationship with Dawn, Day, and Dusk.
Okay.
Particularly the Emperor looking upon Dawn as his son.
Okay.
Remember, he said, "I think of him as my son," right? And then the rivalry between Dusk and Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? And I'm not sure that I fully grasp what caused that.
I
think I do remember at some point, Don being, yeah, go ahead, Ulysses. I can't.
As far as that is concerned, that kind of rivalry, it didn't really. It seemed to have started with the fact that he wanted to go to that other planet, to kind of shore up that alliance with with these religious people who were
Illuminous.
Illuminous, where he had to walk the rings.
Yeah.
And
Salt killer. Yeah.
Right.
I'll rewatch this so I get all the terminology.
It started with him wanting to go. As far as I can recall, it started when he wanted to go. And then when he got there and he had the experience that he had, which was no experience.
He had an experience and he didn't have a vision, right?
Well, yes, the experience, I guess the way I worded it, but the experience really was no experience.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
You understand whereas if he were whole, and apparently this concept of wholeness and having a soul,
right,
was something that he had in mind anyway. But it seemed to have deeply affected him, and I believe that some of what Demerzel said to him on the way back kind of planted a seed, in his mind,
right,
of inadequacy. And when you are, you have to think this, this dynasty, how long this dynasty has lasted, and at what point ever has anyone ever kind of made them feel inadequate. You understand? So now he's having these feelings of inadequacy, and I think that caused a rift, and he was even questioning what to do with, and there were rules in place about what to do with the clone that wasn't actually a clone. The one that was, he needed to be killed, but he even wavered in that decision. And I think that had a lot to do with what happened when he left because apparently, according to the story, that's not something that normally happens. They don't normally leave the planet. They don't normally leave, rarely leave the palace.
Yep, right.
In that regard, so.
Or
But when you think of
we-
the vision that he had, so he obviously was prepared, because I'm thinking, didn't he steal that from Dermacel's vision that she had probably 400 years ago?
Yeah,
Yep.
Or
he
plus?
did.
And so therefore, it made him seem, he was already prepared to lie.
But that's not it. That's not it.
He copied off.
What's it? It was that she let him know that I know you lied.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly.
Okay, that wasn't the thing, that he lied. He was prepared to lie.
Okay.
That's kind of what he does naturally. You know what I mean? They're really dishonest. But when she kind of called him on his ish, it made him feel a particular way. And then she said a line, if I can recall the line, it was something to the effect of, I can't imagine
Yep.
what it would be like to kind of go to that cave and not have the vision.
Mm-hmm. She was reading them.
She was.
Right. It was a read. It was a long read. And I think in somewhere in her cervoids or whatever.
Positronic brain? No.
Her positronic brain.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, right.
That she felt a way about having to go and kill the other lead of the woman who was running for the lead of that particular planet and that religion.
Yeah. Zephyr Halima.
Zephyr Halima.
Mhm.
Yes, the other Zephyr. So
I think
Yeah.
definitely what needs to be explored is this split with dusk, day, and obviously, well, we know what happens to dawn. Dusk is emerging as an
Vince,
evil.
we know what happens to that dawn. they
Well,
they
what I'm
enforced
saying-
another one.
yeah. What I'm saying is, dusk seems to be emerging as the evil side, the dark force, almost. He's just evil.
But you
Right.
know what? So
And,
Vince, this is a footnote, but finish your point. That dusk is the dust that destroyed or almost destroyed Anacreon and Thespis.
and
Okay.
Thespis. Yep.
There we go.
That's the same one. And
Okay. So he's showing his true color.
he's also the last one.
Maybe.
He's the one that received the warning from Selden.
Right. Oh yeah. Right.
Okay. And he's the only one who's not corrupted at this point.
Possibly. Right.
That's true.
Well, where's the possibility?
Well, but
The only possibility is the ones that are still in what appear to be a Bacta tank. I know it's kind of crossing.
That's all right. That's what it is.
Right. But the only ones that are uncorrupted are ones in the tanks, right? Because the ones who are, just kind of living, breathing, walking around are corrupted. And it was just kind of clear his empathy for Dawn.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It was clear in his empathy for Dawn that there was wheels were turning.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't the thoughts that someone of his ilk or his line would have.
Mm-hmm.
But Dusk was also the one who was in charge when the Sky Bridge was destroyed.
Yep.
And
Yes.
so he carries that burden of knowing that he was the day, he was the middle throne, during that entire destruction, and to see, that Cleon the First had built or begun to build. And so you could kind of see then, you're right, as an older man now, as Dusk, he is so, set in tradition and set in, and then the way he went off on day saying, you are not me, and, and so, so I think he carries all those burdens into his old age, into his dusk.
I wonder if it was coincidental that the current day of this last episode is the 13th. Little symbolism. But yeah, the fact that, so he had to be corrupted because he went to 13th, had to be corrupted because he went to the maiden. He he walked the salt pillar road, which is something the empire would have never done. He talked with commoners and touched commoners. Now, he did have Demerzel kill Zephyr Halima, and you got the sense, I mean, it's kind of intriguing because with the Demerzel character, there are fans who are talking about, well, in Asimov's original book, the iRobot and various other series, there's the 3 laws of robotics. All 3 laws of robotics converge around the idea that robots cannot hurt human beings, cannot purposefully hurt human beings. And so how is Demerzel going up snapping necks, killing, if the 3 laws of robotics are working? Well, there's a thing called the Zeroth law. We can get into that later if we want to. And there's also the fact that David Goyer says, well, now slow your roll. You haven't heard the whole story. So he's like, the laws of robotics might work, but you got to keep that in, but you got to wait till second season. But yeah, so you got all of these variations, right? I do think to Vince's point that this is some interesting intrigue here. And you can kind of see then where the Cleonic dynasty about to go down real fast. Because 13th is enraged with 14th. 14th is enraged with Demerzel for killing 14th. Did I have that right? Yeah. 13th is mad at 14th
was killed.
14th was killed.
Yeah, that
12,
was, yeah.
12 is mad at 13.
But you know what?
13 killed 14.
Wait a minute.
Or Demerzel killed 14.
I wonder. Now, feel me on this. Now, this
Okay,
is
all right.
a theory. This
All
is
right.
just a theory.
All theories are
But
good.
it came across that it might have been almost revenge-like for making her kill.
Oh yeah.
The please pronounce that for me.
Who's that? Zephyr?
The
Zephyr
Zephyr,
Halima?
yes, Zephyr Halima.
Uh-huh.
Right. Which hurt my heart. Okay, because I liked her.
Yeah, we gonna get into
she
that.
suffered no fools.
Was she programmed to do that?
That's a relevant question, Vincent. So was she programmed to, by the first Cleon, to if anybody strays from the path, do the following, or and maybe there's also that aspect to which Demerzel make some calculations about. I mean, she, after all, she is an android, a robot with probably enormous computing power. Could she be making some calculations that something strays from the path?
Well, I mean, genetically, and for all intents and purposes, he was not Cleon. Period.
He wasn't.
So she was not. So she was not harming Cleon, right?
Oh no! We're talking about when Demerzel killed when Day ordered Demerzel to kill Halima, right?
Right. She couldn't refuse the order.
She couldn't refuse that order, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
and you could see that was a very difficult scene to watch because she seemed really pained.
Oh yeah.
By what she had to do. And did she snap her neck or did she poison her?
She poisoned her. With just a touch.
She poisoned her, yeah, which was, to be someone of her physical prowess.
Right.
Why would you have to poison her? But I think she kind of wanted it to be humane as possible.
Right. Well, but it goes back to your point about revenge, right? Or was that your point, Vince, about revenge?
No, I mean, if I was just thinking of the 3 laws of robotics. If a robot cannot harm a human being unless either it is programmed or unless it is instructed to do so. So
not even the robot, the laws as you understand through most of the books, but not all of the books.
Okay, so we know she was instructed for
right.
One. I'm wondering, was she programmed? Was that a part of her overall program when she did kill Dawn, or was there, or maybe did Dusk instructors, or you know what I mean? It just seemed
It
so.
seemed spontaneous.
It seemed so spontaneous, but it can't be.
I don't recall watching that scene and thinking that either one of them knew that she, because Dusk clearly wanted, Dawn dead.
Yes.
All right. But Day was wavering.
Yes.
On that particular matter, and it was causing division.
Right.
And
So
it seemed to me the logical calculation that it seemed that she made at that moment. It did not seem premeditated. It seemed like she made it at that moment to kill him. But if it was premeditated, neither one of them still knew it was a calculation that she made on her own.
Right.
Right. And like going back to Todd, what you said earlier was that if any of these three stray from their directive, I guess
right. There you go.
Then her program says, I must get rid of you because I'm here to protect.
Right.
This empire.
And you saw the reaction of Dusk too, because he began slapping Day. You had never seen violence between the brothers before.
Right.
I mean, he gave him some serious slaps.
Fire.
He brought the fire. So
it was like Thanksgiving.
And so she figured probably the best way to end this is to end him. And that would stop the conflict, between, the brothers. Because otherwise, do you really think that Dusk would have supported Day in keeping Dawn? He would not have. Right. He probably would have killed him himself.
Right.
Even though he was the middle throne. Yeah.
All right. When you bring up these rules, it also makes me wonder if it's not a loyalty specifically, or, maybe one of her directives is a loyalty to Cleon, but the other directive may be a loyalty to the Empire and kind of keeping that whole thing running. And what that entails, that might result in the death of one of them. And, that's kind of how her calculations worked, or she could have worked it out, her positronic brain.
Ulysses, you read my mind.
If that's a part, that was a part of a program. Well, who programmed it?
Right.
The first Cleon. She said that, I believe.
No.
She said that.
Was it the first Cleon, or did she precede the first Cleon? Because remember, she said
she clearly preceded the first Cleon. That's without question. She's old as,
but who might have given her
time?
Okay. Yeah.
But there are specific directives that are specific to this empire. So at some point there was new programming.
Right. Well, I don't think it's a coincidence that they use the term empire singularly and plural. So really what they might be saying is, I don't serve the emperor, I serve the empire, very much to your point, Ulysses. And each time they might construe in modern day language, empire equals emperor, but that's not how she reads it. She's like, no, all of you expendable if you don't keep the empire on track. Right. So I'm just saying,
right.
To your point.
Now, how they refer to each other is one thing, but you notice commoners or anyone else outside of that, circle don't refer to them as Day, Dawn, and none of that.
I don't think
it's simply empire.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Just to kind of speak to the fact that they are, they are the empire.
Right. Okay. How about there are a few other points we can raise before we get into our unique critique.
That was not unique.
A more unique critique.
Because I have one more thing, but go ahead.
Go ahead, Vince.
Oh, one more, for me, one more thing to yet be determined is this supposed newfound relationship between daughter and mother.
Okay, don't go there yet. Don't go there yet. This thing that's on the other list.
All right.
But just the sci-fi elements or the plot elements are the stuff like who blew up the Sky Bridge? We still don't know.
Right.
How do they found the second foundation? There are now 2 Harry Seldon copies. one that made it onto the planet via the vault, it transformed him into the vault. And then the other one, I forget what the Raven was the name of the ship that initially Gal was on.
Mhm.
It was heading to his home planet, the Helicon. You don't know if it got destroyed or what. It gave maybe a possibility it was destroyed, but maybe it wasn't. So
Are you sure about that?
Go back and watch, and you'll see a flare. But I don't remember the ship blowing up completely, just like the being exploded.
But are you sure that there are two
Well, remember,
and not one traveling between two places?
I thought one was a hologram.
both of them
I
are.
thought both of them were holograms.
But one's in the knife, right?
Yeah.
And the other one is on.
Is he residing in the knife? Is that it? Was his consciousness in the knife?
Or was that just simply a way to get aboard the ship?
Right.
To activate the system.
That's where, that's where I'm at.
Could be. All right.
Because why leave? Why leave? You came there, you gave the message, and now you're walking back to the vault. Why? I think the vault is some kind of conduit between one foundation and the other. Because there can't be two Harry Seldons acting independently. There wouldn't be continuity between the two foundations.
All right, Ulysses, you're about to give a spoiler and you don't know it. I don't know.
Sorry.
That sounds like
it's just my
premise.
It's just my read. It's just my read on it.
That's an interesting premise.
That is an interesting. It is. Because I wonder, why did he go back? Why did he go back? I mean, he's delivered the message.
He delivered the message. Well, supposedly, now this is consistent with the book, that Seldon would show up every however many decades when there was a midst of a crisis, because he had psychohistory, right? So he says, okay, according to my calculations, they're now going to have a crisis. Let me appear and let them know that they have not resolved that. Great, you resolved it, or you're about to resolve it, or whatever. But he would give them an essential clue to help them through the crisis. So, but that's intriguing, Ulysses. I ain't thought about that. Okay. So now, what any other, before we go on to is that, are you good in terms of the unanswered questions? We're not going to unanswer all the unanswered questions or point them out. But anything else? Okay, I see Vince is chomping at the bit.
No, I mean, how did the mother end up in the water?
Okay, let's go. Go ahead. We do get unique critique.
Water from the space. What was it? Raven was the name of the spaceship. What? How did we get from that to 138 years later? She's in the bottom of the ocean on the water planet.
Okay, so you're talking about, okay, so as we get into this,
because remember the hologram, right? Because remember Harry Seldon comes on, out of the night, right, and says, "Oh, I had Rach kill me, blah 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 blah," and she's like, whatever, right? And then he dissipates or whatever. I think that's what happened, and that's where it ended. That whole saga with her. But how did then she end up on the planet?
Well, she always said that that's where she was going. She told the capsule to go there.
Okay, so just to clarify.
Yeah, well, it wasn't an accident.
Let's clarify for the viewers. We're talking about Gal Dornick, right?
Right.
Yeah, Gal Dornick getting back to.
But it was interesting. It's the 138-year difference.
But she was aware. She was aware it was going to take that long, because when she interacted, remember when she demanded her freedom from the ship, from the hologram, of Harry, and she got into the capsule, and she was trying to pick a destination. The computer told her it would take that long for her to get to her home world, and so then she set a course, for her home world, and then it put her under, and so that's how she arrived at her home planet.
Okay. And the same, did she?
She arrived after.
I thought the daughter
arrived first.
So the daughter takes off first.
Salvor Hardin arrives.
After she kisses the man, blah, 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 blah. White man.
Yeah,
okay,
that
whatever.
part.
And then she goes off. She goes off.
Yeah.
And then we see 130, the capsule comes out and then she crashes down, right?
Yeah, but
That's
remember
the daughter, right?
But now remember they said that Salvor Hardin was there for more than a century, but not necessarily 138 years, just more than a century. So she arrives on, so Salvor Hardin arrives on.
You were counting the 38 years, I think, because that was Gal Dornick's initial time in the capsule, wasn't it? She was in that capsule for 38 years before she came out and ended up on the Raven.
Yeah, so she could arrive there before the mother.
Okay,
by a decade.
Well, it said 138 years later, blam, capsule.
Yeah, 138 years after.
And she goes down in the ocean and there's a bright light. So.
Okay, all right, Vince, let me map it out. Gal Dornick leaves the Raven. She travels for 138 years back to her home planet, Senex.
Okay.
Okay, then Salvor Hardin leaves Terminus. She might travel, let's say, for a century to get to Senex, or maybe, yeah. Let's say she travels for a century to get, or eventually she ends up on Senex. That's the unanswered question. After a century, in a cryopod. So she arrived there a century and Gal 100 years, and then her mother follows 138 years, or 38 years later.
But the mother was there first.
No.
Because wait a minute.
No.
And
The mother.
I gotta watch this because I thought, okay, so I'm referring to daughter, mother. Right? That's the only thing I can keep in mind. Daughter kisses man, white man with blue eyes.
Salvor Hardin.
Yeah, goes off, blah, 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 blah. And then it said 138 years later, then we see the capsule. Capsule goes down. It's the daughter, right?
No. It's the mother.
It's the see, but that's what was not entirely clear.
Did you watch?
Well, that has a lot to do with how they played with time.
Wait a minute, was Vince
playing with time a lot of bit?
They played with time quite a bit.
And it gets confusing after a while.
Yeah, no. So there's a lot of time jumping that this show does.
Who got here first, and how long was she down there?
Salvor got there first, the daughter, and then the mother.
She knows she was going to be. Wait, so it was the mother who rescues
the daughter.
Yeah,
Salvor Hardin.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How did I have that? Sorry, y'all.
It's not really
for several weeks.
Also, a lot of things that's not answered because Salvo, after she was rescued, remember she said, how did you get here? And she said, I crash landed. So how did she know she crash landed? Did she crash and then put herself under? So it is a lot of unanswered questions as to how does she know her current state on the planet when she was underwater?
Good point.
Did she crash and then she say, okay, let me put myself in hibernation and maybe a beacon or something, and I could be rescued at some point in the future? So it is a lot of unanswered questions there around.
And I think earlier the other question is, when do we know the planet was not the planet, but the people were destroyed? Or killed.
Yeah,
right.
Because it's all underwater, right?
We don't know when that occurred. Okay.
All right, so let me get into. Let me take it a step further. Does it suspend your disbelief to believe that Gal and Salvor are mother and daughter?
Mm-hmm.
Did they cast that correctly?
You said did they cast
based on the actresses that's been cast?
I'm sorry. Did you say cast it?
Casted it.
Did you say if they casted it?
You casted it.
Vince Milton. Did he say cast it? Whether or not they casted it?
I said casted it.
Is he talking about the casting?
But yeah, I'm replaying
the casting.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All
right.
So could Rach?
Now, are you asking whether or not they look alike? Like if you were to do a Punnett Square.
Yeah. Could Rach and
their genetic kind of
it's genetic
morphology there.
So that might be one question, right?
Could they be a genetic? Are they
No.
No, hell no. I'm just assuming that there is a kind of third genetic material that was introduced because she was carried by another woman. I'm just assuming that. I'm hoping that that's the case.
Probably not.
I know it's not. I know it's not, because it just simply doesn't work that way.
They probably should have flipped it if they were going to be true to certain anyway. All right, so that's one thing.
That was not her mom. But
okay. What are the implications of the relationship? So we have strong women of color, Black women. I know, Vince, we got into that episode 1. In this series, they all seem to be in conflict with two that between the Empire and Harry Seldon. You know, in Harry Seldon's case, he does Gal Dornick wrong. Lies. You know, literally she feels like she's going out of her mind as a result. You know, he does not, I mean, his calculations tell him that this love between Rach and Gal is wrong, and it'll throw off the entirety of what's going on there. So he's in conflict with her. Then, of course, the Empire tries to kill Gal Dornick. Then the Empire does kill Zephyr Halima, has Edo de Morzo kill her, and then sets up this conflict. And there's an implicit conflict between Salvor Hardin and the Huntress, who is also a woman of color. So to me, I don't know. It's interesting that there are these ways in which white men are in conflict with these women of color. And actually, I went back and listened to David Goyer, and he did say, I made a purposeful choice in selecting these women and women of color in these roles. Because he says, for some reason, it just came to me that some of the villains of this series were going to be white guys. He said it. So it wasn't unconscious, it was direct. So anyway, I don't know if you feel there's any implication from these tensions between these quote unquote white dudes and these women of color. But
well, how come they can't fall in love with a Black man?
Who the she? As Ulysses,
Why she gotta go making having sex with a white man with bright blue eyes? How come she can't find a Black man?
What is this, tens of thousands of years in the future there, Vince? Human beings have gotten beyond these.
Well,
the population makeup, I just think the population makeup doesn't really just kind of allow for these kinds of choices.
Are you saying the viewer or the audiences?
No, I'm talking about the population makeup
of the Empire thousands of years in the future.
Oh, because the makeup of the population, they're in the outer, and these are a bunch of colonists, and it is a finite amount of people.
Right.
Yes, it's basically like what, 3 planets out there, you know. So yeah, Terminus and the other 2.
But it's not even them, because they're not even dealing with them. They're kind of an enemy of the Empire, you know, both of those planets at this, you know, time. So all of your choices are kind of whoever is in the foundation, you know, and you know, given other circumstances, given other numbers, I might be like, it's a little, you know what I mean? But
I'm just saying that if the director made a conscious decision, obviously he made a conscious decision that she ain't gonna fall in love with a Black man. Why?
Well, there is a couple of color, and there is a white couple, if you want to think of it in the racial terms in which we think of it in the United States.
Yeah.
I'm just leaving it there. Or maybe I'm
you thinking of her parents, her mother and father? Well, I guess not.
Yeah,
they were together before. They were together
with the Black man.
Yes.
I don't think that's her parents.
Beforehand, they were together on transit.
Well, who raised her? Yeah.
No. Her mother is her surrogate mother in that she carries the zygote of race and and Gail. So she's at least her surrogate mother, and as a woman of color. So.
Ish.
And then her father, was a former
It's
warrior.
women of color. It is not black women. Let's be
Yeah,
real
she's
now.
still a woman of color.
You mean black women?
I don't think that's in debate.
Uh-oh, you're gonna get us some more viewer comments. Okay, so
Okay.
no, it's all good. So yeah, so anyway, I just thought that was interesting. The other thing is, and I brought this up, there's two more points. One is when Harry Seldon emerges from the vault, you got the Thespins, the Anacreons, and the Foundation. They're all at each other's neck, or Salvor Hardin is trying to get them to do a kumbaya moment and figure out how can we move forward. And then Harry reveals, well, wait a minute, y'all have been duped, y'all been tricked, you've been hoodwinked. That Cleon II, the first clone of Cleon I,
Set you at odds.
Yes, wanted to set you at odds, that your king married your queen, but then the queen was killed by the Shadow Master, to prompt a conflict between your kingdoms. So because Harry Seldon says, why fight two upstart kingdoms, in the outer region? Why fight two upstart kingdoms when you can exploit the racial animus and have them fight each other? I thought it was an interesting choice to say racial animus, particularly when the Thespins seem to speak with a certain accent and looked a certain way, like Hugo, and that the Anacreons looked like they were of color, and it almost seems as though, again, stereotypically speaking, it seems like the Thespins have a slight bit of a, I don't know, Russian or maybe Slavic accent, if you listen to them speak. So again, I just thought it was interesting that Goyer would use the word, or the writers would use the word racial animus when race hadn't been brought up, except for that very first episode, very subtly. Because to American audiences, hearing the word race implies something, right? It ain't just culture, ethnicity, planetary difference. Race means something. So I just thought it was interesting to use the notion of racial animus. So
it's always been a human, I guess in this universe, humanoid kind of construct,
right?
As instead of just kind of a scientific fact,
right. Right. In fact, we have legislators these days who are trying to legislate against the use of certain terms. The idea that even race or racism, or that race is a racial construct. So that's not that. So it's making a commentary on current debates.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, it is. Now that well, that's a whole nother video. A whole nother video. And I'm here for it.
All right, you here for it. Okay. So and then one other point to just raise, and then we can wrap up here, which is I talked about who are the various couples, romantic couples, by ethnic or racial differences or not. You pointed this out, Ulysses, that because when we were talking about, okay, well, Vince said in our first episode, well, where are the gay people, where are the SGL people, where are the LGBTQ folks in thousands of years in the future? Bring up your comment of when Cleon was talking to Azura before he was about to send her to her fate. Who did he mention the people he was going to put a beam on to X out so that her legacy was extinguished?
Oh yeah, the 1,551 people. Okay, very specific. I think I wrote that there. 1,551 people,
right.
Not just her family and peripheral family. You know what I mean? But anyone that she had met, come in contact with, and their peripheral family.
Right.
Now, really quick sidebar, I commend that kind of petty. Okay, I am that kind of petty. All right, I just want to be, clear on that. Who I
Yeah, that takes a particular level of
there's a particular amount of tenacity that comes into really destroying a person's legacy. That's
right.
deep. And it just struck me so hard when he let her know that.
Right.
But he did mention in a nice way, and it was very nice. He took her outside. He took her outside to the garden.
Go ahead.
Come on, baby. Come on. Take a walk with me. Take a walk with me out here in this garden. Come on. Ain't this beautiful? It's just gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah, sit down. Sit down right here. Sit down right here.
Sit down.
Yeah, I'm about to destroy not just you, but everything about.
Yeah, just
you know what I mean.
Wipe it out.
But he mentioned within that, and this was the only kind of reference to anything dealing with any kind of same-sex or same-gender loving relationship. When he said, "I even found the first girl that you kissed," and just kind of implying, if there was a first.
Yeah, if there's a first, then there must be others.
So that she, wasn't even, I guess, kind of intimating that she was either bisexual or, a lesbian, and she was not even really interested in men, and that the whole relationship she had with Dawn was a deception.
Yep. So we'll see if those references show up later on in the second season. All
Doubtful.
Right. Doubtful.
Doubtful. Yeah, but I'll save that for my unique critique.
Future unique critiques. Yes, future unique critiques. All right. So ratings. What thus far, Milton? What do you think? I'll let you go first. How would you rate the first season of Foundation from 1 to 10?
The first season of Foundation will get a 9 from me.
Okay.
For episodes 1 through 9, so I'll give it a 9. Again, season finale still didn't do a good job to me, but I am looking forward, to season 2. We talked about things that have yet to unfold. I am kind of obsessed, with the genetic dynasty. I mean, that whole concept just kind of intrigued me from episode 1.
Right.
This idea of dawn, day, and dusk. And then in Dermacell, too, I want to know her history. Like, I want to know what happened during these robot wars.
Robot wars,
I want to know how is it that a robot was able to have this miraculous vision? How does she have this in-depth emotional attachment to all the Cleons, but especially, Cleon the First. So I'm really looking forward to seeing, how do they, interweave the whole idea of a robot having these strong emotions and then being attached to a religion at that, and then having this profound, vision, for her travels there with her religion. So so I'm looking forward
and then ripped her face off at the end because of some
because of her emotional turmoil,
some anguish, right? A lot going on.
So those are things I'm looking forward to from season 2. But yeah, overall, I give it a 9.
Okay, all right. Ulysses, what do you think? And I'm gonna get Vince the last word. Ulysses, what you think? In rating 1 through 10. 10's the highest.
I'm gonna give it. Damn no. I'm gonna give it 8.
8. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
If I'm gonna just kind of go off of the Milton scale.
Scientific.
The number of episodes that you like.
Right.
Exactly.
Episode 1 through 9. Episode 1 through 9. I was really on board, and I can't lie. I was enthralled, and there was a real commitment. You know what I mean, to me watching the show.
Okay.
I was invested in the story. And I too, like Milton, have this kind of really deep curiosity about Demerzel. That's why I keep bringing her up. She is a fascinating character. And now, especially, you know, just kind of right now, what's happening in science and examining and asking the question of what is sentience. You know what I mean? She kind of just brings that to mind every time I see her. But that last episode, that was, you know, that cost a couple of points. It cost a couple, because I just don't feel like it was that necessary to try to wrap so many storylines. You know, some things you can leave open. And it just made me question whether or not there was going to be a season 2 or not, you know, or this is a limited series or, you know, what that was. So there are some things they could have left open and they could have saved for season 2. So I'll give it an 8. Yeah.
Okay. Vince, what you think?
You know, I moved it from, I think I had a 6 previously. I moved it up to a 7.
I thought you would do 5.
Just so that the audience know, those who are watching, just know, I have a problem with love scenes, particularly in sci-fi. And I think especially when these love scenes take far too much away from the overall plot. And I have been watching a lot of sci-fi recently. So like, you know, Invasion, War of the Worlds is a TV series that popped up. Lost in Space, you know, third. And, you know, and it's the same script over and over again. Why is it in these tragic or crazy things are going on? All the aliens are coming down and you're gonna, oh, I gotta go. Oh my goodness, my children. I have to go. And then we have to sit and watch you know, flash back to when your child was a baby. You're in a spaceship right now, and this big thing just swallowed it. Why are we wasting time about whatever? I just think it's
Milton looking at you like
it's just stupid. But you know, Clarence Avant said, you know, it's all about the numbers. And I guess love sells. These love scenes are in there for a reason.
Yeah,
the love and eat it. They just get on my freaking nerves. I think for me here, if they could just shorten some of this crap, and so look, let's just shorten it, and let's just move on. Unless you're going to give us something really deep and in depth, but I mean, you know.
Yeah, like hot gay love or something.
I'm not even saying that. I'm not even saying that. It's just a waste of time. It's just a way. It takes away from me, and I have found so far in this series, it's just taking away from. It got a little better after Rach died. I thought, okay, you know, then that was fine. Then things got better. But then
you knocked them off. Okay, all right.
So I'm just bitter. I'm bitter inside.
Don't worry. Vince, I've heard eHarmony is accepting us now. So there's hope, Vince. Nah, you know, Vince, syrupy sentimentality is a very American trope of literature, of that, you know, we got to have a romance. I mean, in fact, I heard someone say a while ago as a critique of various literatures that Western, you know, and/or you know, Anglo-American or European literature often revolves around romance. And the question is like, well, isn't that true of all romance? No, that's not true of all storytelling forms across human populations. It's not necessary for there to be a romance.
And it's the type of romance. That's all. When the romance is superficial or surfacey, you know, and if it's not, what is it adding to this plot? What is it adding to the storyline? Now, there have been some that I've seen that, it really does add. You know, we talk about, you know, Empire Strikes Back, Princess Leia, so that whole back and forth, that was believable.
He was
It wasn't overdone and it wasn't drawn out.
But it was a storyline. It was actually a storyline, you know.
But these things seem like, you know, it's like an afterthought. Oh, we need to show some skin. Because again, it's about the numbers. We know this is what's going to get people to watch our. I sometimes I think it's the commercialization of these love scenes that just grates on my nerves. And again,
it's probably the audiences too, because they're trying to pull in more female viewers.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
females
saying,
would be attracted to a handsome man in bed with a lead female character, whereas most men are like, okay, can we get back to the action? So I get it.
I don't know. I find a handsome man is a pretty good attraction.
Right.
Listen, you show some more skin, something like that. I don't know. That's just me. Again, I'm bitter. I'm sour. I like my sci-fi. I like my sci-fi pure.
That's respectable, Vince. We can respect that. That don't make you bitter or sour.
That'll make you sour. That just make you particular, in a good way, in a way we love.
And I want to end my part of my segment by saying, Betty Davis said in the movie, "I detest sentimentality."
Where the cigarette? Where the finger?
Right. I love her.
Betty Davis. All righty. So we're gonna end it here. Went way over, but that's all right. We're doing good things. We did have some. I did want to give a shout out and thanks to those who are our viewers and our growing viewership. So with our Doom series, we had Agresta Cumbra, I think Agresta Cumbra. Thank you for your comment on our YouTube channel. I'm hoping that part 2 Doom demonstrates the criticism Herbert had regarding multiple tropes regarding their dangers, loved his approach to economics, religion, politics, ecology, the cult of personality, fanaticism, nationalism, imperialism. And then later on, the viewer would go on to say, when I saw the distribution of melanin amongst the characters, we talked about colorism in our Doom critique, it concerned me. I wondered if anyone would discuss this. We did. And it also made me curious about how they will cast part 2, including will Idris Elba show up in part 2. Then Screen Stars, thank you for your comment. Thank you. And we really do appreciate your viewership. When you said really enjoyed this video, guys, again, talking about our Doom video, really enjoyed this movie too. New subscriber, good luck with the channel. All right. So we're going to keep up giving quality content, and we're going to keep on giving clearly unique critiques. And that's all right.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. And because we like bringing out these things and talking about these aspects that you will not hear anywhere else. If science fiction is a fiction about what is true really in the present more than in the future, let's talk about it. Let's have these conversations. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you to the brothers from the mother planet. Thank you, Ulysses. Thank you, Vince. And to Louis as well. Y'all didn't see the cute puppy. And then thank you, Milton Gooch. So you have been listening to the Black Spaces Show, where we give you the unique critique.
Enjoy the peace.
Enjoy and respect the peace. Enjoy and respect the peace. We will catch you on the backhand side, and in the future. Peace out.